So today we're going to turn our attention to rebuilding Coventry in Football Manager 2024. Now, they are sat 17th in the Championship and recently have just sacked their manager, so I feel like they're probably the perfect team to rebuild. If you do enjoy the rebuilds, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. This video might be a little bit longer today because they're in a little bit of a mess, but let's get into it and let's learn about Coventry. So then, Coventry City actually in the game have got quite a fair bit going for them. As you can see, a great reputation, very good training, and decent youth facilities. Unfortunately, the youth recruitment is not the best of the best, and when it comes to looking at their players, I will say it is relatively average compared to what we have had on the channel recently. Now, in terms of the owners, they absolutely love the club, but of course the values, the bank balance, etc, etc, is a lot less than what we've ever worked with on this channel. So what I will say is this one is going to be quite interesting. Club though, they haven't exactly won tons of trophies, but they have got some history, with one English FA Cup probably being the biggest trophy they have won, one Sky Bet Championship, two Sky Bet League Ones as well, one Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and one English 3rd Division South Trophy. Now honestly, when it comes to making a tactic for this team, I went pretty basic because I'm trying to get them back to the Prem. And that's why I've gone in and loaded in a positive 4-3-3 with the Gegenpress, nothing too over the top, purely to get us promoted from this championship back up to the Prem. Now, I'm not against it taking more than one season for this to happen, because it's not an easy job to go right up to the Premier League and then stay there. Looking at the players, my knowledge of these players isn't the best. I do know some of the players. I know Jay Da Silva, I know Wright, for example, up front, but if you want the harsh truth, none of these players are actually Premier League quality in my opinion. So hopefully if we do get promoted, we'd be given a decent budget to play with, because I can't see us staying up in the Prem at all with anything like this. If you are going to play back home, you would have had a budget of around about £200,000. Of course, for us, we don't actually spend any of this money. And looking at the debts and loans, 6.3 million transfer debt, net debt is 0. So it's not horrific compared to obviously when we rebuilt United. That was really in the red. But what I will say is they don't have a lot of money, but it's to be expected. One player we can talk about though is Wright, because he actually does look quite good. He's not obviously going to light up anyone compared to some of the Premier League strikers, but for the Championship, I do think the American can get it done. Genuinely, he's very well rounded up front, he can play a variety of roles and can also cover on the left hand side. So for me, this guy might actually offer something, and to be fair, he's in contract for a long time. Another one that I probably should have talked about is going to be Ben Sheaf coming in, and I will say he was a former Arsenal man, West Ham man as well, 26 years of age, again offers a lot of midfield, very versatile, 26 years of age. Is he going to cut it in the Premier League? I don't know, but in the Championship he's a leading quality player, so we have got a couple of players we can turn to. Are we going to set light to the league? I don't think we are, but realistically, I think there is a shot we could at least make the playoffs. Of course, looking at the competitions, we are playing in the Championship, the Friendly Cup, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup, and I would imagine a prediction is going to be coming in of around about 13th place. And do you know what? I think we can do better than that. I think we can honestly get into the playoffs with this team. It's not the best team ever, but it's good enough to get the job done. Let's go into Season 1 and see what we can cook up. I've got a feeling it's going to be positive. We actually matched up against FC Utrecht in the Friendly Cup final, and I'm going to show the highlights because at the end of the day, we did play very well, and although it is a friendly, we do find ourselves 2-0 up inside of 30 minutes, and from this point onwards, it was pretty good to be fair. We actually go and make it 3-0 with a great goal there from Sakamoto, but there is a consolation that comes in, but it is a trophy. A couple of miracles happen this season as well, because we actually get all the way to the final of the FA Cup, where we do lose against Man City, but who would have thought Coventry in Season 1 get into the FA Cup? Same can be told in the Carabao Cup, where we actually nearly win it. We lose on penalty, so yes, it's not a trophy, but it feels like 2 trophies. Getting to 2 English Cup finals in Season 1 is a good result, and we beat some big teams to get here. What I am worried about though is if Wright's scoring a lot of goals in this competition, where loads of teams are going to be looking at him, I feel like it's going to be hard to keep him, especially when he's also the top goal scorer in the Championship and we are winners. 113 points in the league, which is absolutely remarkable. He scored 37 goals in the league. We've got Victor Torp coming in with 16 assists. With clean sheet wise, we're not really up there with the clean sheets, but I will say, Wright has come in and proved himself right with 37 goals in the league. That is absolutely remarkable. I think we need to go over and actually see who done what in this tactics page, because we must have had some good performers. And looking at it, we definitely did. I mean, you can see here just 53 goals across all competitions for Wright. You've got Clark with 15, 21 for Sakamoto. You've got Josh coming in there with 6, 18 and 18 for Victor Torp, a player I did not even discuss at the start, but obviously offers quite a fair bit to this team, so hats off to him. 14 for Ben Sheaf, who obviously I did discuss. 10 assists also coming in for our right back. And off the bench is pretty quiet, and one thing that I have noticed is the team is actually quite small, so we are going to have to bank on having a decent budget, because we are now going into the Premier League. So let's just go and see how much we've got. I hope it's decent. Well, do you know what? I thought we would have got more, but I guess it's actually quite a fair amount for a team like Coventry. 40 million is an okay amount of money to take into the Premier League, but honestly, it might not be enough, because I imagine we've got a lot of players that either want to leave or on short contracts. Honestly, I was wrong on both of them statements, because we've not got too many players that are wanted, apart from our striker, who does get some attraction from a Saudi team, and to be honest, at the moment he is on 20k per week. They can easily times 10 that, so he might go, and I would understand. But at the end of the day, other than that, we've got players in contract. We're actually looking quite good, so we can go over and invest all of this 40 million, apart from maybe trying to persuade Wright to stay. We can spend all of it actually improving the team, so let's go over and see exactly what we can do getting into our first Premier League season. Unfortunately, Wright is going to go, and he literally got the times 10 treatment. He's now on £200,000 a week. I don't blame him for leaving, and the one positive is we did actually make a profit on this player, brought of course from the Turkish league for 9.5. We sell him for 16 million, and credit where it is due, he is still performing over in the Saudi league. He's on a serious amount of money. I somewhat respect the move. Signing one for us is going to be Sila, coming in on the free, by the way, so no money spent, coming in from the Portuguese league. He come in, and to be honest, he was quite average, with just 5 goals and 6 assists. It's not exactly remarkable. To be honest, I was expecting a lot more from the player, but unfortunately, he did come right into the Premier League. Maybe if I had him in the Championship for a season to get the confidence going, it would have been better. But I look at him, he's still a decent Premier League player, so maybe if we do get good offers, we consider them next season. We're also going to spend big in Mika Hamilton. Now, I will say with this, it is a gamble. We spent 40 million, which was quite a fair bit of our budget, and he come in and also performed very, very average. Now, he got the game time, he played almost every game, and he was also locked in. So it does worry me, because he was given almost every game possible, as you can tell, maybe a bit too much at the end of the season as he is injured. But he really looked good. The potential's there, so I am going to keep sticking at it, because I think he can become a very good player. But that season was nothing to what he can do. We also turn our attention to bring in Tejon. Now, he is going to come in from Inter Milan for 1.9 million, where he does okay for that price. 8 goals, 1 assist. It's okay. It's nothing spectacular. But again, I'll look at these signings, and it is so hard to make signings when you've got hardly anyone that wants to join a, well, favourite relegation team going into the next season. So we've signed what we can. Is it the best? I'm not going to say it's the best, but it is 3 additions with 1 big loss. Let's just hope we can stay in the Prem. We have stayed in the Prem. It's not going to be pretty, but it's above what I expected. I was expecting the sort of 16th, 15th place. We've come in 13th. We do lose 20 games, so it's by far from perfect, and I don't think we're going to set light to any sort of statistics page. But at the end of the day, we are not anywhere near the relegation. We're very far from the bottom 3, who actually are Wolves, Nottingham Forest and Fulham. So obviously the key trick here is to go to them teams, try and poach their players, and they've got some very good players. Arsenal are going to be your champions. United in second place. City and Chelsea do follow to pick up the Champions League. But I will say, for season 1, I'm going to take it. The rest of the competitions, they weren't as nice. I say not as nice, I really have got to lower the expectation. We are going to go and look at the 5th round, where we are going to lose to Norwich, who are a team, I will say it, if there is a team out of these teams on the screen that we could have beaten, it would have been them, but still can't get it done. And this one was a massive overstatement, because we were never expected to beat them. It is going to be Chelsea. I do not have a single bit of me where we should have beat them at all. At the end of the day, the game was quite close. In fact, all of these games, apart from Tottenham, was very close in the quarter-final. But do you know what? A 1-0 defeat, it's a humble defeat. It's okay. Looking at the team then, I mean, we obviously are missing that real bagsman, and I did try and replace, right, I haven't lost my head, I did try and get a striker, but there is simply no one who was getting the job done, so it was going to be Ellis Sims that come into the team, and he only scored 10 goals. I mean, it's a fraction, it is also a step up in football. We didn't actually have, apart from a player out on loan, who is going to be this guy, Norman Bassette, who I will say I might actually give some game time to, because he did have a good season out on loan, but what I will say is we only had one player that scored above 10 goals in the entire season. And that is going to be this man. We brought in, who I said done okay. He actually was our top goal scorer, so it was quite a good signing for like very minimal money. But what I will say is this is not good enough because, and I'm not ashamed of the players, we just don't have good enough players. But when you've got one player scoring above 10 goals, the rest are under, you're going to be absolutely muddered. Therefore, the assists are also going to be bad because we're not scoring goals. It's an average season, but it is our first season, so I'll accept it. Finances, however, have gone all the way up, and we are now talking about a budget of 54 million, so quite a fair bit more than what we did have in the past. Again, we are going to go and look at the squad, look at the contracts, see who wants to go, see who can go, and what I will say is, respectfully to any Coventry City fans, you are going to see a fair few of your players leave because they're sheerly not ready for the Premier League. They're not good enough for the Premier League, and we are going to replace them with better people. So let's go over and see what the squad looks like in terms of contracts. Hopefully it's not an absolute mess. So I mean, looking at it, we have got a few people here obviously unhappy. We've got a player here unhappy, asking to leave for more playing time. That's fair enough, wants to be on loan, and also just against the teammates' treatment. So Mika Hamilton as well, he is okay, yeah. A few people are angry is what we're going to say, and a few people also are on short contracts. But I look here, 2026 is going to be the main worry. I look here, and to be honest with you, apart from maybe the likes of Jamie Allen, Jada Silva, and the likes of Jake Bidwell, apart from that, these players are happy to go. I will happily let them go because we need better quality players. So we are going to dive right into the next season, which is going to be season 3, and hopefully get some money for these. The issue is, again, no offence, but the calibre of these players, they're not exactly the most sought after players, and usually what ends up happening is they always leave on the free. But I'll try and prevent it, bring in some money, and see what we can do. First of all, it's good news because we lost no players, and we did have our first signing of all, which is going to be Hayden Hackney. Coming in from Wolverhampton, I will say he come in for 19 million, and I don't know what's happened because he was registered, but he didn't play a game. Now, when you're spending 19 million on a player, that is a big issue. He was registered, I registered him with my own eyes, so I know he was in the team. I don't know what happened, but he is instantly wanted by Ipswich, so if we can do a quick flip, we'll do that quick flip. This signing, it's a strange one. A strange one is going to pick up Murillo from Nottingham Forest, again, a team of course that did go down. He comes in for us again, and apparently plays 0 games. Now, I definitely saw, I'm convinced he did play games for us, so I'm going to go and check this out. The next sign, and by the way, I've still got no idea why they weren't playing games, because I registered them the same time as I did Rutter, who we also brought in from the likes of Brighton for 10 million, where he's come in and potentially saved our Premier League, because he scored 18 goals in the league alone, and dropped close to a 7 rating, so he has come in and done very well. I would imagine an injury come in though, because he's got a lot of down arrows towards the end of the season. God knows why the previous 2 didn't play though, because I literally registered them the same time as this. Even despite magically 2 of our 3 signings not getting any game time, we have still improved in the Premier League up to 12th place, so a 1 place improvement, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. It's less losses, which obviously is a big thing. I will say, again, apart from yellow cards where we've got 17, 13 and 13, so a lot of bookings, we are not getting in the stat lines. Now, this is going to be a pipeline dream because we're not going to be top goal scorer anywhere near for quite some seasons, but as long as we keep progressing up the table step by step, I don't hate it. As for the FA Cup, congratulations to West Ham, but to find us, you're going to have to go all the way to the 5th round where we lose to Everton. Again, a team that probably are a little bit better than us, and to be fair, actually, they made it all the way to the final, so I don't feel as bad. In the Carabao Cup, it is tough fixture after tough fixture. Crystal Palace did win it. Unfortunately for us, we do bail out to Chelsea in 3-1 fashion. The fact that the final ended up being Newcastle and Palace, though, says a lot about the other big teams. what's going on with them? I mean, looking at the team, the only real issue we have solved so far is the goals, right? Because, I mean, we've got Rutter in, he scores 21 goals, but you take Rutter out of the equation, we're then looking at 2 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals from a centre-back, 4 goals from Sakamoto on the bench, 7 goals to be fair for Clark, 4 goals from Torp. It's a real big fall-off. We are banking on one player who did get injured right towards the end of the season, so we did not finish off in very good fashion at all. I look at this team and, again, as all teams need, we need investment because we are progressing a little bit at a time, but this team needs better goalkeepers, better defenders, better midfield players. The only position that is really somewhat secure at the moment would be Rutter. And to be fair, to do that, we have been given a budget of £95.4 million to go and spend. Now, I will say that is a very generous budget, and I think at this point of the video, by the way, do leave a like, but at this point in the video, I do think this is where we can't have any excuses, because if I go and spend 95 million and we start falling down the table, that's on me. So it's a bit of pressure, but I do appreciate having nearly 100 million to spend. And luckily for us, again, we're in a sort of luxury situation with the contracts, because all the players that are a worry can happily go, because they are not going to be anywhere near the team if we do bring in new faces. Obviously, Jay Da Silva has done pretty decent, Jamie Allen's done okay, but they are now not going to come in and win Premier League titles, so they can be moved on. That is the one easier thing of doing a rebuild of this calibre, is you don't have to worry about players moving on if you're given a budget like we've been given. So realistically, we've got 100 million, a lot of players to improve, a whole squad to strengthen. Let's go spend it. Unfortunately, this transfer, it just didn't work out, did it, to be honest with you? Hamilton is going to be going to Sheffield and we lose half the money. I'm going to say that I was in the wrong for that one because it wasn't a good signing. He didn't develop anywhere near what I thought he could have done. We're going to take the loss and just recover some of the money. Another player that we are going to have some money coming in for, who I didn't even really get to see, is going to be Neil Barlett. He is going to go to Leeds for 600k. It's better than on the free. Signing one is going to be Ivo Gribic, again a player who is a goalkeeper quality of the Premier League. So this is a big change in terms of what we can actually expect to maybe keeping a few clean sheets. He is 32, but sometimes you have to bank on experience, and therefore he was also only 4.8 million. Now we come in, dropped to 6.83. I don't hate it. He did concede a fair few goals, but that's also because of what's in front of him. So it's not a bad entry season to the Premier League. I know he's an older player, but honestly, we just needed someone that was a good Premier Division standard. Speaking of good Premier League players, it's going to be Tom Graus, I believe so you say that. He comes in from Mainz, again, a fairly competitive team in Germany, obviously now in the Bundesliga too. He actually dropped above a 7 rating and picked up 11 assists, so he actually had a very good season. His attributes look incredibly well-rounded. He's only 26. He is on a fair bit of money per week, but realistically for a player that we got on the free, who now we could sell for 60 million, I'll happily put him on that money per week. It's a win-win. He stays, he drops great performances, he goes, we get 60 million, and he looks like Joshua Kimmich. It's another bonus. We are also going to pick up Andrew. I'm not going to say the second name because I am awful with pronunciations and I'm not trying to offend anyone. But he comes in from Norwich for 9.2 million. He plays pretty much every game, drops a 6.82, and despite being quite poor in the cup competitions in the Premier League, he was actually really good. Again, he's on 42 grand a week, so it's a fair bit of money per week. But now we're attracting these better players, you're going to spend more money. It's simple. Signed him in the previous rebuild, and I will keep signing him as long as he is free. That is going to be Calvin Ramsey. He comes in, plays 20. He's not guaranteed first team football. He gets a goal in there, drops a 6.9 rating. It's not amazing. It's not bad. That's what I'd expect from Calvin Ramsey. He's here to simply be there if we need him, and he's done that to the best he could. Also going to go out and spend a bit more money on experience in picking up Matthias Jensen. Now he's going to come in from Brentford for 5 million. He plays a ton of games and just drops that consistent 6.84, 4 goals, 5 assists. I'm not after him to light up the league, but just come in with some of your experience and push us up the table a little bit. And sometimes I do believe people don't sign older players because they're obsessed with picking up wonder kids and things like that. But bringing in some older players can sometimes really bump you up the table because they've got experience in the league. Again, a player that not many people I wouldn't even look at if I wasn't in this situation. We needed a left back. I couldn't afford one, and there was none that honestly were good apart from this guy as a free agent. Now he's not incredible, but he is somewhat solid, okay? He's well rounded, he's got the aggression in there, he's not the quickest, but trust me, I wouldn't sign anyone that wasn't the best option. And he comes in from HSV, and do you know what? To be fair, he does very well. A 6.86, 6 assists, for 30 years of age, I'm not against it. But do you know what? If a team wants to pay 20 million, I will take the profit. You're also going to take a gamble and pick up Anthony. Now, he is going to come in, obviously, from Manchester United. And do you know what? He cooked. Maybe Coventry is where he should go. He goes on the free, 12 goals, 3 assists, 6.84. I don't hate it. He has taken a big pay cut to be at Coventry. That's a sentence that I thought I'd never say. He has taken a pay cut, and despite his pace being pretty in the mud, he's got great dribbling, a great first touch, he's got good technique, good flair, good work rate, good stamina. He's not honestly a bad player. Again, he is on the older side, but I can't afford incredible wonder kids that are 20 with 5-star potential. We're looking at the likes of Anthony to try and win us a Premier League. Looking at this transfer window, the board did also pick up some other free signings. Not really too much to talk about, to be fair. Some of them actually went right into the under-21s. But looking at the players we have brought in, we've sort of brought in a good handful of players here who actually could have pushed us up the table a little bit. Now, I've taken a gamble by backing older players opposed to younger players, although I didn't really have a choice with the budget and the attraction of players to come to Coventry. And I'm hoping we can be in the top 10. That might be a bit of an ask, but let's go and see. We actually got all the way to the Carabao Cup final against Manchester United, and they are going to go 1-0 up with Marcus Rashford. But look who gets us all the way to extra time. Just take a little look at this. It is going to be none other than the person I was somewhat debating. It is going to be Anthony against his former team. It goes all the way to pens where Bruno steps up. It's a very good pen from him. I can't really question it. Our penalty, a very good penalty again. Victor, of course, Manchester United sign him, a great penalty. Sheaf steps up, a great penalty again. It's looking like a good penalty shootout so far, with Sancho even scoring his. Our player steps up into the bottom right. Diego Dallo steps up into the right-hand side. Is he gonna? He is into the left corner. It's honestly nerve-wracking to watch. Mainu down the left-hand side, and unfortunately, we are going to come out and lose 5-4. But do you know what? We put on a show, and that's all that matters. Same can't be said in the FA Cup, as it is going to be another 5th round exit, and again Everton are going to be too strong on the day. The main attraction is what we have managed to do in the Premier League, because we have gone up almost 7 places, or 5 places realistically, and we are now in a European competition, as you can see. It's not a great one, it's an entry-level one, but we are going to take it and move on. We are in the top 7, we've outplaced Palace, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa down in 15th, Ipswich going back down to the Championship. Congratulations to Chelsea, who do win the league. But I will say, we've still got no players in the stat lines in terms of goals, average rating, assists, or clean sheets, or player of the matches. But we are really pushing up, and the losses are getting less and less and less each season. So do you know what? I am going to take a top 7 finish and a Carabao Cup final appearance as a big result. Big result also has paid out somewhat, not as much as last season, but let's be honest, that was never to be expected. 50.9 million, so £51 million to spend. We can definitely do some damage with that. I've looked at the squad, and luckily we are in the same situation as players that aren't very good are going to be the ones leaving next. Unfortunately, we've got a big issue with Murillo, who has actually had an ongoing work permit issue throughout the entire rebuild, which is very annoying, and might actually result in him leaving quite shortly, as he does have interest from the Saudi League. But let's focus on the positives, because we have got 14 assists coming in from our new man in midfield. We've also got 7 coming in from Jensen, another new signing. 18 goals for Utter, so he has fallen off a little bit, but still very good. 16 for Anthony and 5 assists. And I will say, coming off the bench, this player here again, who's out on loan, and I need to get him back because he might be doing something right. He's going to be Norman Basite. Again, I need to give him a chance because he is absolutely cooking out on loan. Sims has got 5 goals, 8 for Clark as well. But I will say again, we're not just relying on Rutter, we're also relying on Anthony. But realistically, it's still not going to be anywhere near a Premier League winning team. That's pretty common sense. If you want my honest opinion, the goalkeeper done well. We need another really good centre-back because obviously Murillo's situation is really muddied. The left-back's probably okay for another season, as is Ramsey, but if there is options, we will get them. Our midfield, Seal-Up is probably not going to cut the mustard anymore. Butchanan also is not going to cut the mustard, and we need better rotation for Rutter and Anthony, so we've got to stretch this money quite a fair bit. So let's get into the next season and see what we can do. Not a bad start though. So a player that is instantly going to leave is going to be Jensen. Now he is going to go right to the Saudi League, but we have doubled our money. So considering we brought him at 32, he's now 33. You rarely make money on players that age, so it's good business. A big player that we brought in that I thought was going to cook in the Premier League but really didn't is going to be Hayden Hackney. Again, a player that we have made money on, so we did have a stinker on the Hamilton signing, but other than that, all of our business has been absolutely amazing. Also going to lose another sort of player coming up, I think, in Levi Sheldon. He goes to Fulham for nearly £750, 725. He doesn't really play a game, but I'll take nearly £1 million for a player that I didn't even know I had. And now we can really go and spend some money, because we actually did get more than 50 million at the sort of start of this transfer window. We had about 76, so I did make this a bit of a luxury signing because this is a good Premier Division fullback, or wingback should I say. He is 29 years of age, but he was interested to come to Coventry, which is a big compliment. And do you know what? He cost us 30 million, but he played almost every game, 3 goals, 6 assists, drops a 7 match rating, and that is what a Premier League wingback will do to win you, hopefully, a Premier League in this rebuild. Now, what I will say is, it's a lot of money to spend on a 29-year-old, but you've got to remember, we can't sign all the young players because no one really wants to come to Coventry until we're at least in the Champions League. So, do you know what? He was a good option. Welcome into Fran. A player who looks absolutely nuts is going to be Ibrahim Bamba. Now he looks, well, he's rapid. He's got 17 acceleration, 17 pace, good aggression. He's got good bravery, good concentration, good work rate, good tackling. He's on a lot of money per week, but we only spend 13 million. He was rotting away his career in the Qatar League. He's now come to the Prem and put on an absolute masterclass. He might be one of the best options to sign for anyone watching. We're also going to go over and pick up Yunus Musa on the free. Whenever he's developed somewhat decent, I will always go and grab him on the free. He comes in, plays 36 games, drops 5 goals, 3 assists, a 6.92. It's average, but it's okay because he isn't going to come in and score 20 goals a season, 20 assists. He's playing more of a deeper role. So do you know what? I will take it. And once again, as I always preach in these rebuilds, if you're not going to use him next season, you could cash in between 62 and 67 million. I'll take a quick second to say, by the way, now, if you are interested in getting the tactic we're using and the rebuild file and all of these wonderful perks you can see on the screen, you can come on over and join the Patreon, where you can be part of a team of close to 5,000 people. So do come on over, get involved, because it is the place to be. But let's go over to the next signing. That next signing is going to be Morgan Gibbs-White, who did have a release clause of 25 million. And when you're paying 25 million for a player who is clearly proven in the Premier League, 12 goals, 10 assists, above a 7 average rating, you have to pick him up. There's no other option. He comes in, he's incredibly well-rounded, put on a great season, can play in several positions. It was a no-brainer. And his English, great for registration. With that business being done, we actually did do quite well in the FA Cup, as we do get past the 5th round on this occasion, against Leeds on penalties, which puts us through to the quarterfinals, 1-0 over Arsenal, so we are able now to beat some of the bigger teams. The semi-finals, 5-0 against Blackburn, which matches up in a final against Chelsea. Fortunately, we are going to go 1-0 down to an absolute direct bit of play from them in Cole Palmer. We do get back in the game in the 74th minute, again by a bit of direct play, a bit of scrappy play, and we go on to win the FA Cup with an Anthony penalty. And there must be something going on, because we are also going to do quite well in the Carabao Cup, 3-1 over Everton, which is great in the 3rd round. The 4th round, 1-0 over Leeds. All of our games against Leeds are quite close. The quarter-final, 5-1 over Tottenham, so we are now really capable of beating the big sides. And into the semis, we match up against Liverpool, and we do get somewhat lucky because we win by 1 goal, but I don't even think that's luck. It's against Liverpool. We've scraped our way into a final against Man City. Something tells me this might not end too well. It's a reverse of the last game, because we are going to go 1-0 up now through Morgan Gibbs-White, a direct ball in and a great header to go 1-0 up. Unfortunately for us, Man City do get a goal back in the 45th minute with Phil Foden. It's a great bit of play. But literally 30 seconds, and I mean 30 seconds in-game after, we go through with Rutter to make it 2-1 before half-time, and we actually go on to win the Carabao Cup against City with Anthony, who is lighting it up. And we finalise all the competitions apart from the Premier League in a Europa League final where we beat Manchester United 1-0. And I tell you what, so far, we have won the treble, we've won both English Cups and the Europa League, so we've added a ridiculous amount of trophies to the cabinet, and, you know, a ridiculous amount. Now, if the Premier League has even gone bad, I am not going to care. As long as we've not been relegated this season, it's been amazing. We've not been relegated, we've finished second, only 7 points behind Arsenal. So yes, we've had a lot of seasons, yes, we've spent a lot of money, but it is still crazy what we've done with Coventry. We've not only got second place in the Premier League, so now obviously we are in the Champions League, although we would have been anyway because of the Europa League. We have won a treble of trophies in a season, and it's looking like it's constant improvement year in, year out for the Premier League. I'm going to go and see what players done what, because we must have had some players really hit form. And it is safe to say we have had players hit form. As you can see right now, 24 goals for Rutter. So he has come back and he is alive in the Premier League. Unfortunately, this man on the left is going to be replaced, I think, for the next season because he's not been doing much the last couple of years. Anthony, though, 29 and 14, 15 and 18 for Musa. Morgan Gibbs-White, probably the signing of the season, 22 goals and 21 assists. That is the easiest 25 million I have ever spent. 13 for Fran Garcia. Again, no issue paying that sort of money when we are winning a treble. And we go down to the bench. We've got Clark coming in here with 21 goals. We're not going to ignore that. Again, the issue here, I've looked at the squad, we've got a lot of players who already have left, but our squad is still relatively small, so we are going to try and hopefully bring in some players, but that does depend on the budget. Realistically, I want at least 50 million. We've got way more than that. We've got 72.8 million to carry over into the next season. I've looked at the squad. We're actually all good. Not too many players leaving on the free at all. A couple of players asking, you know, for example, more contract money, etc., which we can afford to do now. And there are a couple, which I won't spoil, that unfortunately might leave because of, you know, just interest from the Saudi League, who will pay them anything. So let's go over into the next season after winning the Europa League, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup all in one season and see what we can do. Only are going to lose one player on the free. That is going to be Dylan Zarate. He is going to be going to the Colombian League where he does literally nothing. And I am going to quickly say we have had the best transfer window you will ever see in a rebuild based off free signings. Now we have signed more than free signings, but the first batch of players didn't cost us a penny. Let's get into it. So first off on the free is a player worth 40 million in Arda Güler. He comes in and he doesn't do too much because he hasn't been developed that well in the save. But looking at a player here from a pure financial perspective, that is a free 40 million pounds and he looks absolutely nuts. So those of you that are going to carry on the rebuild, this is just one of the players you've got for the future. If you played Football Manager this year, you would have run into this guy. Matthias Sewell is going to come in from AS Roma. Again, he comes in, he doesn't do too much, because there's better options that come in and sort of outcompeted him in the team. But once again, a player valued at 35 to 42 million and another player you're going to be able to play with. Now, I tell you what, that's already a great start. We've got some even bigger names. One for the future is going to be Dessia Doué coming in from PSG, of course, recently gone there in real life. He plays a lot of games for us. 29 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, drops above a 7.10 match rating, and is still only 24. A big amount of value to his name as well, and one of the best young prospects in the game. The older side, but looks absolutely broken. 28 years of age, it's going to be Sergio Arribas coming in from Almeria in the Spanish League, 37 games, 9 goals, 12 assists, and drops a 7.10 rating. Yes, he's nearly 29, not 30, but at the end of the day, look at the value, 85 to 93 million, and I can guarantee after a season like this, you could guarantee yourself 65 million. Teams will happily pay that. We're also going to pick up Mason coming in from Marseille. He comes in and absolutely, I mean, it's 11 goals, 6 assists, a 7 match rating. Again, you can easily cash in between 70 and 87 million pounds for him. And you know what? He's 28 now, but he can play on the right, on the left. He has got great finishing, he's quick, and a leading Premier Division player. We'll take it. Last free signing is going to be a player that we're actually using with RB Salzburg on my Twitch save. Do come on over. If I remember, I put it on the screen, but it is going to be in the description as well. Make sure you come over and say hello to the streams because we've got a massive Red Bull project going on. But with Coventry, he comes in and he actually drops 22 goals in Season 1. So that tells me he has easily replaced Rutter's goals and he is now probably the main vocal point up front. They're all the free signings. Now to the paid signings. There's only going to be one paid signing and he was one of the best best right backs we could get on the market, leading Sky Bet Championship, so it was interesting to see how he has done. He hasn't played a game, but I know how good this guy can be. We signed him, I believe, with Southampton, and he just needs a couple of seasons, and he can be an absolute monster. That is the only paid signing of this window, but if you look at the names we've brought in, so we've brought in Mason, we've brought in Arda, Fernando, Sil, Doué, Arribas. These players were done by the board, these ones here, and of course Festi as well. We have brought in players here that are probably capable of winning a Premier League, or if they're not doing the games in the Premier League, they've played games in the Cups, which means that the better players can now be fit for the Premier League. So either way you look at it, we've strengthened the team. So let's go over into Season 6 and see how we change from P1 to P2 in the Premier League. Let's go and find out. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't know much about the competition. We are going to win the European South American Club Challenge against Belgrano. It's not the biggest trophy, but it's a trophy. Super Cup is a fairly big trophy, especially when you're playing PSG, and we are going to go 1-0 up with Mason Greenwood inside of 21 minutes, and actually go 2-0 up in the 53rd minute, and all PSG could do is gather one consolation goal, which means we're going to be winners of that as well. Our first time in the Champions League is not going to be a miracle, but it's not a bad display. We do get slightly battered against them, but it is Real Madrid, and do you know what? The fact we've got past all of these, the path, the knockout, the round of 16, who do we beat in the quarterfinal? We beat Barcelona, so that's something at least, and we also beat AC Milan, so it's not an embarrassment. We were never going to beat Madrid. The Community Shield was very close, but we actually lose on a penalty. It's not pretty. Same can be said for the FA Cup, a competition we won not so long ago. On this occasion, we are going to get knocked out in the quarterfinals against West Ham. As for the Carabao Cup, things are looking quite strong as we are going to beat Brentford 4-1 in the 4th round. Into the quarterfinals, a 4-0 win over Fulham. We are getting cherry-picked our games, it feels. Into the semi-finals against Newcastle, but look at the teams we're going to be playing in the final, which means we go on to beat Middlesbrough just by 1 goal, and that was going to be a 94th minute goal from Mason Greenwood. Main attraction and the completion of the rebuild is going to be a Premier League title done by a fair few points as well, only losing 5 games, and in the season we win. We have got some players in the top stats. Fernando in 2nd place when it comes to the goals, Morgan Gibbs-White with the most assists, and probably the most impressive is going to be Gribic in joint 2nd with Amarjashvili, who obviously the new Liverpool goalkeeper, with 14 clean sheets. So realistically, we have done very well here, and we're going to finalise the season by winning the Premier League, whatever this is, the Carabao Cup, and the UEFA Super Cup. And honestly, what we've done for the club, in fact, let's go and see what we've won. I mean, we have added a load of trophies into this team: a Premier League, a Europa League, a Super Cup, 2 FA Cups. Did they have one? I think they had one, to be fair. 2 Sky Bet, they had that. No, we had that. We won one of them. Let's not discredit. 1 Sky Bet Championship, 2 Carabao Cups, 1 of these. We've done very well, a ton of trophies, and just look at the arrow. It's a constant upward spiral, a great job, and probably one of the better rebuilds we have done. Now, the team I've left you with is going to look a bit like this. This is the team that I've left you with, and the tactic that you also are going to get with the rebuild file exclusively to all of the Patreon members. You have been left with a team. We'll filter by the best 11. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. There are some positions which you are going to have to sign a future player for, because maybe they're a bit more on the older side, but realistically, compared to what we had at the start to what you see now, we have done a great job over 6 seasons and also brought a load of trophies along the way. I feel like with rebuilds, you either go down a complete only sign young players route and don't find the success, or you're willing to mix and match, and that's what we've done, and we have got a very good team and some players that have put up some really good stats in that final season. If you are going to play back home, replacing some of these older players will never be an issue, because you've nearly got 90 million to go and spend, and that is going to wrap up the video because we've completed the challenge. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and once again, you can leave a comment below of any team you want to see get a rebuild. Roma is going to be coming up next, because I know there's someone who really wants a Roma rebuild. That is going to be coming up next. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.